Hello, everyone. It is I. Sup, you mongrel. As you can see, today we will have a short discussion about MPM-8? Yeah. MPM-8 Megatron. This is a figure. Nathan says he loves my videos. I appreciate that. I enjoy making them for you guys. This has been loaned to me by the good folks over at the Chosen Prime. He's not really my kind of thing. He doesn't turn into like something. You know, when you're done transforming him, you don't really go, I finished. He's transformed now. He looks like the thing he's supposed to look like. Who knows what he's supposed to look like? I never understood in the original movie why. Yes, but art is subjective. Fair enough. I never understood why the original movie, or really any of the movies, decided to make Megatron unrecognizable. Yeah, he's kind of ugly, but he definitely looks exactly like the movie thing, and there's a lot of complex detail on him that I'm sure was a challenge for them to mold into him. But I mean, you can see as the shadows fall across him, he's pretty complex mold, even if he's not a very complex transformation. I got a new microphone stand. It's like one of those flexible stalks with a clip, but it's a little more stable than the old one I was using a couple of weeks ago. So that's nice. Yeah, Nathan says he ordered him yesterday. Listen, I mean, I was tempted to because I'm a bit of a completist when it comes to like the Hasbro Takara Masterpiece MPM figures. But for me, it just, it doesn't turn into an actual alt mode. and it's not terribly, it doesn't have like any big surprises when it comes to transforming it. But I mean, it's gorgeous in terms of looking like the movie character, and it's got a lot of nice finish and paint. There's quite a bit of die cast. This is die cast. The front foot. There's a big piece of the back that's die cast that you don't really even see. Got something on your mind, boy. That was the other movie, though. He's got he's got a pop-out segment in his chest. So you can kind of reproduce that bit where they shove the Matrix in and melt him to death. Comes with the space cube. It's not the Matrix, is it? What do they call it? I forgot the name. Someone will tell me in like 3 minutes when the chat catches up with me. See you later, you mongrel. Yeah, I mean, he would pair nicely with that. He's a little taller than the leader. Oh, you're talking about the Raffle. Oh, yeah. The ROTF. Yeah, it's a pretty big figure. But he's meant to be in scale with the MPM-4 Optimus. So he's a little taller than the MPM-4 Optimus. And I guess that's to scale. Plus, you know, he's a great companion piece for MPM-9, which will be Jazz. That'll come into 2 parts. So you can recreate that scene from the movie where Jazz is like, "You want a piece of me?" And Megatron's like, "I'll take 2, Mr. Anderson." That's 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 Megatron. All right. I'm very excited this week. I was able to track down. The Allspark is not die-cast. Good question. It's just a piece of plastic, colored piece of plastic. But I got this. Ta-da. I love that guy. Some years ago, I had like a lot. I mean, I wouldn't say I had all of them, but I had a lot of G1 toys. And I sold them to a fella that was more interested in them than me at the time. I kind of regret it. I wish I still had those G1 toys. I still have G1 Jetfire, which probably will never get made as a re-release, so that's just as well. Because, was it Harmony Gold? Are assholes. That's why. Like all the little tapes. I'm not sure why it won't focus on. Oh, it's because I keep putting my hand in the way. It's cool to have the tapes. I still had a few of the tapes. I have an original G1 Ravage, but he's very his joints have gotten all weak over the years. You see this ridiculousness. For some reason, they took the laser cannons of the birds, and they've made them very short. You know, for safety. But for some reason, the laser cannons on the little guys are long. Poke your eye out with those. So I don't know why they did that. It's kind of cool to have all the tapes. And even though they used Laserbeak, Laserbeak was like the main bird in the show, they made a point of having Soundwave come with Buzzsaw, just like the original toy did. It's kind of cool. Yeah, Soundwave is cool. He probably won't warm the shelf quite like Optimus Prime did, because, I mean, that Optimus would have sold a lot better if he had a trailer. Although, I don't know, I guess it would have made it a lot more expensive too, so there's always that challenge. I thought it was kind of silly that Optimus didn't come with a trailer, but then they were like, here's an extra gun though. Like, what the hell do I need an extra gun for? Probably won't do a transformation video on this, because I don't think anyone is confused about how to transform this guy. It's Soundwave. He was my favorite bot when I was a kid. I've always been kind of partial to the, what do they call it, the Micron, the ones that were real objects like guns and tape players, and cameras. Yeah, I had quite an adventure finding Soundwave, because stupid Brixie kept telling me that it was at Walmart, but then Walmart hasn't done their reset yet, and I got the runaround. I much prefer if like Amazon had the exclusives, then I could just order them. Not have to go into the store every day seeing if they're on the shelf or not. Kind of ridiculous. Siege and Studio Series. I tend to collect Siege and Studio Series, although I don't do videos on Siege because they're not terribly complicated. I mean, I guess a lot of times Studio Series isn't complicated. But I lucked out the other day. Before I even found this Soundwave, I wandered into a Target, and bam! Studio Series, long haul. Just to reiterate, this MPM-8 is not my copy, although it's currently in my possession, but this is a loaner from the Chosen Prime. Great online store. And no, the hips aren't loose on this one. Perfectly good ratchets. That was a question from KO Dave. Does your copy of MPM-8 have loose hips? The answer is no. No loose hips in this case. You never know when to do a live stream. But I'll probably do, well, I mean, I definitely will, but maybe not anytime soon. But I will do a video of long haul here. He's not complicated. It's not like anyone's going to be wondering how he transforms. But I kind of committed to doing the Studio Series Voyagers and Leader figures, Voyager and Up, and the occasional Deluxe, like I did that Stinger or whatever. But I want to do all the Constructicons because it'll be cool to bring them all together and make that big Constructicon. Do any of all three of you collect the Cyberverse figures at all? Because that's like the first line in a long time that I skipped. I was like, oh, they're terrible. But maybe some people like the characterizations or the molds. I was really shocked in Studio Series or the Cyberverse to discover that the Legion scale figures don't really transform completely into their alt modes. It doesn't make sense to me. Because I probably would have picked up Legion scale figures if they had them that transform completely. But for some reason they just transform into a gimmick. KO Dave asks or says, oh my god, let's just read it. I've been dabbling in photography and stop motion, so I gotta ask, how do you get such a crisp black background in your shots? Okay. Well, I use a Canon 40D DSLR camera. I have used this very webcam for some of my earlier videos, and it works fine. The trick with the black background is to make sure that there's plenty of light falling on the stage. A lot of light here. Try not to get any light spilling over onto the background. And then what you do is I set my film speed to 400, and I set my aperture real small because when you have a smaller aperture, your depth of field is bigger. Because what I don't want to do is, there's some earlier videos you can see when I first got the 40D. You can see some videos where I was having a little trouble with focus because I got it backwards in my head. I had the aperture really wide. And when the aperture is really wide, you've got this razor thin point of focus. So anything past that point of focus is blurry, and anything in front of that point of focus is blurry. But when you have a small aperture, it's like you've turned the lens into almost two parallel pieces of glass where the aperture is. And what you end up with is a very deep focal length. And then you just adjust the exposure, give a lot of light to the stage, and then you adjust the exposure down. The whole thing kind of evolved from when I was doing Instagram. You know, I'd just be sitting in my living room and I'd want to take a picture of a robot. And I discovered that if I put my camera pretty close to the robot and made sure there was nothing immediately behind the robot, then even without a black backdrop like I have here or in my studio, the whole background would be kind of black because that's the way my cell phone would expose the picture. So I kind of got addicted to the black background look. So I've been reproducing that ever since. Yeah, I wasn't terribly impressed with Cyberverse. Some people were chiming in on Cyberverse not being so great. I mean, maybe it's great for a kid's line, but I've gotten to the point where I've just stopped collecting everything that Hasbro makes in the Transformers world. It's been kind of a relief. There's a little part of me that wishes that I just kind of avoided Siege. Like the other day I found the Rainmakers, the 3 Seekers at Target, and like it's tempting because you're like, ooh, it's new, and maybe I should just get that. And I'm like, well, I don't like the mold that much. So why do I need 3 of them? Chances are when they come out with that Skywarp, I'll get that one just because I always get Skywarp. I like Skywarp. I like the colors, black and purple. Ooh, we're up to 5 people. Hello, 5 people. Yeah, you guys need to chat at me more because I don't really have any content. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see, what else do I have in my bag? I've still got this guy. Jesus, he cool. I love DX9's / Unique Toys design work. Only Takara really competes with them. I don't think there's any other companies that keep up, other than maybe, okay, how about MMC? I like MMC Ocular Max. Those are good designs too. In fact, I just pre-ordered the MMC Bruticus helicopter because it's apparently going to come out shortly. And I pre-ordered Swindle. I just love the idea of a combiner that doesn't have parts forming. The hand is built in. Everything's built in. In fact, clear the stage here. I'll show you a curiosity from the past, real quick. If I can reach it. Where do I have it? All right, get out of the way, tapes. I'll show you something kind of cool. Where is he? What can I do? I'm ready to be on camera, you know. But I do want to show you something kind of cool. But it's way across the room here. And I gotta go retrieve it. You know, combiners that you don't have to stick the hands and the feet and the chest and all the other crap on are pretty rare. There's not many of them. In recent times, you had things like, what is it, Build King? The Constructicons from, I want to say Armada, but maybe it was from Energon? No, it was Armada. So you had the Build King from Armada, and you had of course, the Rail Racer from RID 2001. Didn't require extra pieces. But one of the OG doesn't require extra pieces combiners is the amazing Puzzler. There you go. Puzzler from the GoBots. But you can see here, the hand for the combine mode is built into this little robot here. So cool. That's all I ask for in life. So I am very taken with the MMC Bruticus because all the parts are integrated, which is a very good idea. These old toys, they didn't feel compelled to have ball joints, or they must not have invented ball joints back then. But here's the arm. They're a little loosey-goosey because they're old. I mean, Puzzler probably came out in 85, 86, so that makes them 32 years old. Let's see. Predacon Waspinator says, "What's up, Peelus? What is up, Predacon Waspinator? How are you doing today?" Nathan Farhat asks, "Would you back the new Unicron?" The answer is no. I'm not interested in that. It's far too expensive, and frankly, it's too big. You know, I would be happy if someone like MMC or Unique Toys or even Takara did a liter scale. I mean, maybe as big as that guy, but like a liter scale Unicron that was very clever. Can you imagine what Unique Toys could do with just hiding away all the panels? I would be very, very happy with something like that. But no, I don't need a, whatever it is, a nearly 40-inch Unicron that costs almost $600. won't be bothering with that. KO Dave, following up on his questions about production. If I'm working in a light box, that would make it hard to keep light off the background. Yeah, I'll try ditching it, working directly on my desk to find something black for the background. And that's the key, because what you want is for the background to be really black. You need to make sure that your camera's focal plane doesn't include the background. So you want the background to basically be way over there, not lit, and out of focus. And then you'll get a nice crisp robot in front of the background. Which is like me teaching people how to do my thing, but you can look up online how to do a black background shot anywhere. So it's not like some deep secret. So I'm happy to share. I don't care. I'm just going to transform the rest of Puzzler while I'm talking. Predacon Waspbender says he is beautiful. I assume he's talking about maybe Unicron. I mean, he's a handsome figure for a giant, crazily expensive figure. But it goes on to say Unicron ain't going to happen, less than 3,000 backers and only has 25 days. I mean, Bobby Skullface had a good graphic from somebody that showed how the sail barge kind of like had a jump in purchasers, and then it kind of flattened out for a while, and then another jump right towards the end to the finish line. So the speculation is that, you know, maybe the same thing could happen with Unicron, but I don't know. I mean, they put a lot of work into Unicron. I can't believe they priced it out. You know, like we've made something special for our particularly rich fans. Okay. Good luck, guys. Not what I want. I'm just kind of fiddling with this guy. Should have a can of spray air in here with me for these. But like this guy's head is built into the robot. So we turn into a robot. It's got this retaining clip that helps curl them in half. How cool is that? All the robots. So this is like the granddaddy of the MMC Combaticons. Oh, well, very good then. Yeah, Waspinator was clarifying that he was saying Puzzler was beautiful, and he is indeed. He's a lovely figure for his time, his level of articulation. I'm very pleased to have one. There's another combiner that GoBots, or Tonka? I don't know. There's another combiner that GoBots came out with that was like this, and it was like Monster Bots. And I thought about tracking them down, but I don't know. It's kind of like that Megatron. The Monster Bots turned into what? Nothing recognizable. Wallace Toy Reviews says, GoBots, that would be interesting to see on your channel. Also, nice to hear your voice for the first time. Yeah, you can catch my older live streams, but this is my voice. Such as it is. I have to install phone systems for clients. Oh no, this is sad. I didn't realize this had happened at somewhere along the way, but this guy has no head. His face is missing. Oh well. It doesn't really stay up anyway, but you can see it would have been a robot. This guy's head is here. Focus. Focus. He's got a little head. Nathan Farhat asks about MP44. Yes, I am getting MP44. I've got them pre-ordered with Amazon Japan. I am ready in the next couple of weeks to tell my credit card that I used for it to allow a charge from Japan, so I don't have to have that kind of drama. And yeah, I'll be doing MP44. I have all kinds of ambitions for what I can do to animate them, but I don't know, a lot of times by the time I get done transforming it, I'm just tired of dealing with it. But if you ever saw my Dinobot video, I did a little rotoscoping animation to like match him to the cartoon. It was kind of fun. It turned out pretty well. The Minicon Assault Team. Are you talking about the green one that came out recently? I bet you are. It was sold as a deluxe figure. That is a really clever set. I like that. That is an all-in-one. You're right. It was a comment from Predacon Waspinator. KO Dave says, I can't wait to see your video of him, meaning MP44. Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to that figure. If you pre-order through Amazon Japan, you kind of start off with a price that's like 60% of the full retail price. They give you like 40% off in exchange for pre-ordering. And then they have like this price guarantee. The regular Amazon here in the States has the same thing for some pre-orders, but if the price ever gets lower than that along the way, then you get the lower price guaranteed. Yeah, the green and black guy. Yeah, that's a cool little combiner. I don't have everything here in my office, so I can't grab him easily. I'll start turning these guys into cars just for fun. Nathan says, I have MP Shockwave and Soul of Chogokin Gypsy Danger coming in tomorrow. Soul of Chogokin Gypsy Danger. Oh, from Pacific Rim. That's cool. I have MP Shockwave. I don't know if you're getting the newer one that's got the different shade of purple, but I have like the original MP Shockwave. These things have rubber tires. GoBots are underappreciated because a lot of GoBots were frankly more clever than Transformers, and they were more portable. I mean, there's a lot to like about GoBots. I have quite a few GoBots still, because although I had a friend back in the day that bought all my G1 Transformers, I didn't know anyone that was interested in buying GoBots. So now that I don't need to sell things anymore, I'll just always have my GoBots. GoBots are cool. I actually got one of those new versions of GoBots, or I got a couple of them. I got the Cykill, the Leader one, and just recently I got the Loco, the Black Train GoBot. There's a little Mercedes. Yeah, I really should reshoot MP10. Back when I was shooting MP10, I was shooting him with, oh, what camera was that? It was, I think it was this webcam I shot him with. But I hadn't worked out how to light things properly. My lighting was terrible back then. So yeah, I should do MP10 again. Just when am I gonna have time? So I recently got my care package from Chosen Prime, and I've got like 6 shoots to do based on that, and he's always very antsy to get his stuff back before shows and stuff. So I'm gonna have to concentrate on that stuff, except when MP44 comes in, because I'm gonna stop everything and do MP44, and everyone's just gonna have to deal with that. I should really try to do this on camera. It's just kind of hard to see because the autofocus goes nuts with my hands in the way. Nathan Farhat says, I'm getting the original one on sale for BBTS for $99. The original MP10, I assume. It's a great mold. I love MP10. It served its purpose for a long time, and that was back when Takara was kind of making the Masterpiece figures were intended to be more like updates to the toys and not necessarily an attempt to make it look exactly like the cartoon. But I mean, the cartoon aesthetic, like this guy, works out pretty nicely. Still have one on my desk from like 3 weeks ago. Should put them back on the shelf. A video on Siege Voyager Prime. You know, I spent a lot of time with Siege Voyager Prime, and I know how I would do it, but there's just there's fancier, more complicated figures that keep coming up. So I haven't had a week where I was tempted to do that. Plus, it kind of opens the door. You know, like if I do Siege Voyager Prime, do I get to do other Siege figures? I don't know. I make the rules, don't I? So I guess I could just do them. But yeah, I came up with a pretty clean method for transforming Siege Voyager Prime. KO Dave has 2 more questions, if I don't mind, and I don't. Do you diffuse your lights, and what stop motion program do you use? Okay. My light setup is I bought like a green screen background, and I don't use it because it's just more trouble than it's worth. If I shoot on a black background, then I don't have to edit anything out. But I got this. It came with a set of lights. So there's like these big sort of tents with light bulbs inside. So they are diffusers. And so what I did is I parked 2 of them on either side of the stage, and then the third one hangs over the stage. And then I have some point lights. This is one of my point lights. They come as pairs. So I don't know if you can see this. But it's like a clamp light. And it has a base. And it's a pair of stalks. And you can adjust it easily, and I kind of like that. But I have 2 sets of those, 2 pairs of those downstairs where I set up points. Because a lot of times if you have a figure that's got some black, you need a lot of speculars to bounce off of that in order for it to read against a black background. So the point lights come in handy for that. And there was another part. What program do I use? I was using something called Eclipse Stop Motion Studio Pro. But I switched to Dragon Frame. It was about $300, but it works really well. It's a good capture program. Nathan clarifies that he was referring to MP Shockwave when he said that it was. Okay, yeah. I mean, KO Dave says he has cheap Walmart lamps and he uses tissue paper to diffuse the light. There's nothing wrong with those sorts of build-it-yourself solutions. It's where I started when I was just kind of figuring out what I should get. I like the light set that I got. It really helps. It creates a lot of light right on the stage, and then I can stop my aperture down, which reduces the light input to the camera, so you need a lot of light. And it keeps the background dark and out of focus. I've thought about that. Wallace Toy Reviews mentions, I wonder how one-step changers would work out in your videos. That would be an amusing idea for April Fool's episode. I actually thought about that a few times. I mean, the problem is not so much the doing the video, because, I mean, I've got the, I don't know if anyone remembers Gravity Bots, but Gravity Bots were just these robots where you'd you'd take the car and then you'd stand it up, and there'd be like a little switch on the bottom, and it would release a weight, and the weight would slide down inside the robot and cause it to kind of transform a little bit. But Gravity Bots are insanely stupid, simple things. And because you can't really stop motion that very easily, I would just have like a April Fool's video where I do the turnaround, and then just my hand would come in and transform it. But the problem is all the post-production still has to be done. I mean, it's not quite as intensive as a complicated figure, but I'd still have to sit down and do post-production. So I've always preferred to shoot a real robot than make an April Fool's joke, but I have thought of that. So that's good. That's a good thought. You guys ever see one of these? It's an Optimus Prime. It's a little beat up. My kid had this for a long time, and he presented it back to me the other day. But split it open and then you turn it inside out. See? And now it's a truck. It's ridiculous. Somewhere around here is a bumblebee that does the same thing. You know, a lot of times when I'm shooting, I feel like I'm just shooting hair. Because I get hair, like, on the turntable all the time. And you'll see them in the videos, because sometimes it's just not even worth chasing them. Because especially when you do the turnaround, the hair is just in a different place all the way around, so you have to chase it down. But it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, do a stop motion of Plushtimus Prime. I mean, he wouldn't even... It would be very difficult. You'd have to put armatures in him. Like, I'd have to get wire, like they do with stop motion puppets, and like shove the wire inside him, and like I'd have to basically turn him into a maquette, and it would be inefficient. Ah, that is a good question. Talk about a shell former. That's funny. Nathan asks, "Will you get Unique Toys Dragoon?" Yes. Generally, the answer these days, since the advent of Peru Kill, but also to a lesser extent, their version of Octane was really good. I will get whatever Unique Toys makes, unless they really screw up. But I mean, even this thing is, from what I understand, was designed by the Unique Toys team. Wallace Toy Reviews, yet Gravity Bots are so idiot-proof they are the perfect introductory toys for people wanting to see one of your Transformers without the risk of destroying them or getting lost in the conversion. Yeah, I mean, I make videos that are showing how to transform things, so hopefully people aren't getting lost in the process. Yeah. KO Dave says, "Oh man, I live with 3 dogs. I'm at the point where I just accept that there's going to be hair in my shots." The only thing I can think of, KO, is I thought about making a tent that would go around my shooting area and then attach that to a vacuum so that I create like a negative pressure area, kind of like a clean room. And that would keep all the crap off the table. But it's not so bad. The problem is when I get kind of involved in like transforming something or moving something along, and then I realize that either I get this a lot, where one of these has gotten into the shot, or there's a hair, and I'm like, crap, I'm gonna have to spend 15 minutes in post-production getting rid of that hair. Will I do Alternators Prime? Probably not as a stop motion. I've got just a lot of other stuff to do. But it gets dry, it seems, here and there, so sometimes I dig stuff out of older stuff. But if I was going to do an alternator, I would probably start with Ravage, because it's just fascinating. It's a Jaguar, of course, the car, and it turns into a Panther. You don't get that very often in Transformers. Wallace Toy Reviews says he is sad they made only 2 plush formers. Love their idea. Yeah, you are right on track. As far as I know, they only ever made the Optimus Prime and the Bumblebee. But, I mean, how fun would it be to have, like, a Starscream that you turn inside out into a plane or whatever? I mean, it would just have floppy plush wings, but it would be a lot of fun. I don't know, I kind of run out of things to talk about. I like hanging out and talking about stuff, but there's like this delay with the chat. So I say something and then like a minute later someone responds to it. I don't know if I have anything else interesting to point out. Oh, well, this guy sits on my desk all the time. This is the, what is this? Hunt for the Decepticons cliff jumper. He was really hard to track down because he wasn't. It was like one of those. Hasbro went for a while. They went through this phase where they kept like abandoning the end of toy lines. Like I don't know if the retail, like Walmart and Target, were like, "No, we don't want it," so they just had to abandon it. But this guy was really hard to track down. He's kind of cool. KO Dave says, so is your background just a kind of black felt or something? What's the reflective surface the figures sit on? So the first question is, the background is just it's a sheet. The background right here in my office is a sheet that I bought at Walmart. It just has to be black. It has to be black. It has to be fairly not reflective. It has to be out of focus, and it has to be not lit. And then you get your black background. Bam. He also asked, what's the reflective surface the figures sit on? It is a round. This is a square one that I bought back in the day. This one you can see in my old video. One of my first videos was the Make Toys Despotron, and he's on this transforming. But I got a 18-inch round piece of marble from. It was an online shop that what they specialized in is they would engrave it with whatever you wanted, but I just ordered the plain black marble piece. I just kind of like that there's a reflection. Sometimes the reflection screws me, but all in all, I like having a reflective surface because it looks nice for the figure to be reflected. And then I put it on a nice turntable I bought off of Amazon. You can get these with ball bearings. You can get really nice like Lazy Susan turntable thing. Like it's just the turntable. It didn't come with it wasn't actually a Lazy Susan. Nathan Farhat says there's a lot of negative buzz on MP Hound. What are your thoughts? I'm quite impressed with the engineering, so I'll get him for that. I think it's neat how the wheels kind of fold up so that they can go, they can hide. I saw a bunch of people complaining about the way the head kind of, levitates above the chest. It doesn't bother me. So I think it looks clever. It's what I expect out of Takara, and totally getting that. Yeah, KO Dave says Hound looks practically perfect to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the complaint is. I mean, the head's got to come from somewhere. It doesn't always. Okay, good point. Nathan points out that this is the Reveal the Shield wind charger. So yeah, I forgot what I said. Hunt for Decepticons, but you're right. It's the Reveal the Shield because it has the rub sticker. There it is. Focus. There we go. Rub stickers. Magical. Predacon Waspinator. Okay, so I got a pretty dumb suggestion, but hear me out. Doing different series for your stop motions, for example, throwbacks, simple stop motions, G1 stuff. I thought about doing a video series where I would just set up downstairs and I wouldn't do it live, but I would produce a video. I could call it like hands-on, and I could just try as best I can to carefully transform something without bothering with all the stop motion, which can be tedious. So it would be easier for me to produce a video like that. And so something that maybe doesn't warrant the full stop motion treatment, like something like this, I could be like, I could just kind of show how it transforms. But the nice thing about stop motion is you can make sure that it's in frame the whole time. I was just watching a review of Megatron, and I'm not going to say the reviewer because it's not nice, but he totally got to one of those classic points where he's like, all right, now you got to make sure that this is just like this. I started laughing because I'm like, there, he's doing it. Can't keep it in frame. KO Dave says some of my favorite photos of Transformers feature the crisp black background with reflective floor. Yeah, yeah, I like those. I don't go out of my way on Instagram to like put it on a black surface because usually I just take pictures of whoever I brought to work with me. But if you look at my Instagram, I'm kind of doing a black background, the old school way. Nathan Farhat says, I'm really hoping for a new Siege Bumblebee, preferably with a Cybertron alt mode. Yeah, that'd be cool. I can dig that. KO Dave says, what's a currently available figure you can recommend for someone learning to stop motion, something relatively easy to animate? Well, I mean, if you have the Siege Optimus Prime Voyager Optimus, that's pretty good. I mean, you want to look for a figure, if you want something that's easy to animate, you want to look for a figure where if you set the position, it stays in position. Because you get figures where, like, halfway through, you can go back and look at my Fans Toys Rouge or Rogue stop motion, but that was a real pain in the ass because Fans Toys loves to say, well, we got a top half and we got a bottom half, but we don't want it to be a parts former. So what we'll do is we'll just put like a chain link between the two. Now it's not a parts former. It's got this chain in between, but the chain doesn't hold itself up. Any of the Takara figures generally will hold. I mean, you're looking for a figure that at every step of the transformation, it'll hold that position. So all the joints have to be tight. Sometimes you'll have like one loose joint. You can use some super glue or floor polish. I prefer super glue. I know it sounds crazy if nobody's ever done that, but you know, like if you have a loose ball joint, you put a little super glue on the ball, and then you pop the thing back on, and then you just keep moving the limb, and then you let it sit, and it'll start to stick, and then you crack it and move it some more, and you're just trying to create like a layer of that fractured acrylic, or what's it called, acrylate. Soundwave says, all hail Megatron. Indeed, Megatron. Predacon Waspinator says, the hands-on idea sounds awesome. Yeah, maybe I should do that because it would allow me to revisit quickly without going into a lot of production. Like I've tried to do like Wednesday productions, and oh my god. I mean, it's nice to get up on a Sunday and I'm just kind of fresh and I can hunch over the animation and then go relax in my office and do the post-production. But it's like an all-day affair. It takes 6 hours at best to do the whole thing. And if I did something like the hands-on, I could maybe visit some, especially figures that won't hold a pose properly. Because, I mean, if I can keep my hands in the frame the entire time, then I can kind of keep the thing under control. So I'll think about that. Maybe I'll do that. Now I'm doing live streams on Wednesday, so I don't know how well. Predacon Waspinator recommends Siege Prowl. Yeah, Prowl's a good choice. As he points out, you can have him standing in place while transforming him. Yeah, like this Megatron, it seems that when he's in jet mode, if you just open his feet up, I can just stand him up. And the same thing whenever I get around to this guy, I mean, you can just transform this whole guy just standing up. You can just stand there the whole time because that's the front of the truck. So stand the truck up and then transform away. That's what I do. Yeah, a lot of times I like figures where I can kind of get the legs out and then stand the figure up and then finish it. This guy was kind of a pain in the ass because you can't just get the legs out. You have to kind of transform this part a little bit first, and then you can transform the legs, and then you can transform the top. It's not ideal. KO Dave says, the hardest thing for me is going from a frame where the figure is on the floor to a frame where it's standing. Making that look smooth can be tricky, especially if the figure doesn't balance well. Yeah. If you watch my video for this guy, for Lahir, I do all that in frame. So, with Lahir, I'll hold it back here, and then I'll just keep taking pictures of it moving into position. And then I will edit my hands out, or whatever else I use to prop the figure up. I've got these little blocks that I prop up things up with too. But it helps to have decent editing software. So I shoot with Dragon Frame and then I edit with Premiere Pro. I should probably be using something else, but I like the way Premiere Pro lets me control the frame rate, or like how long I hold the frames. Nathan says, how hard would it be for you to make a stop motion where you have the plane mode for a BotCon fly? I mean, not that hard, but I gotta prop it up in the air with something, and then I have to edit that thing out. So I don't tend to like to do that because I'm already spending enough time doing one of those videos in the first place without spending a whole lot of post-production removing things. I figured out some techniques recently that might help me speed that up, but still, I don't know how much I'm going to make things fly. Did I miss anything important? Yeah, no editing software. I mean, if you can get the Eclipse Stop Motion Studio Pro is intended to be an all-inclusive software package. So it does like the, I don't know if you're familiar, you'd have to be if you're going to do stop motion, but there's a thing called onion skinning, where the capture software helps you by showing you the previous frame as like a ghost image, and then the current live view, as a less ghostly image. And it makes it easier for you, if the figure moved or whatever, you can get it lined back up properly so that you can isolate movements and have things be really clean. But I never used Eclipse Stop Motion Studio Pro to make the videos. I would just use it to capture the pictures. But from what I understand, that and even Dragon Frame, you can do the whole thing start to finish. An Eclipse Studio Pro you can do, and I did for a long time, but you can do like an $18 a month, just a month-to-month thing. So if you wanted to try it, it would cost you like $18 to get Stop Motion Studio Pro, and you could get like a basic HD webcam to use for the capture. The Megatron video I did back in the day, MP36, I actually used my cell phone connected via a USB cable to my computer, and then a piece of software that I found that can turn a cell phone into like a webcam. And that's what I captured that one with. Yeah, you gotta have some kind of editing software. Levitation stick would work for something flying. Yeah, I've got a gooseneck, like a microphone gooseneck that I wrapped in green so I could green screen it out, or I could key it out. And I haven't had a situation where I really needed to do that. A lot of times it's just easier to use my hands to levitate the figure, and then I just edit my hands out. Yeah, and KO Dave confirms that he is familiar with onion skinning. I mean, it's critical. The thing I like about Dragon Frame is they have, when you buy Dragon Frame, they'll send you like what's essentially the numeric keypad of a keyboard, but every key has a purpose in Dragon Frame, so it's like a nice little USB. So I put it on the floor because sometimes I'm holding something in a complicated way, and I can use the keypad on the floor to use my foot to take the picture. But it has a button. One of the assigned buttons is a way to toggle. Instead of doing the onion skin, you can hold the button and toggle back and forth between the two pictures, and it helps you more than onion skinning. It helps you kind of see if there's like a slight movement between the two pictures, and you can kind of adjust it better. So I've really enjoyed that feature. Nathan asks, are you interested in completing Studio Series Devastator? Yes, I am. And I'll be doing all the videos for the Devastator components as we go along. Just maybe not necessarily on time. And Nathan hopes I don't mind his questions. I don't at all. KO Dave says, I have a Microsoft LifeCam, but I'm getting flickering stripes in my photos that I haven't been able to stop yet. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. You're getting stripes in the photos themselves. I mean, I can see it in video because sometimes if you use fluorescent lights, you can actually pick up the fluorescent light flicker from one photo to the next, and you end up with like a weird. If you look at the original Inferno video that I did, there's a little bit of that in that video because I was trying to use fluorescent lights, but you're much better off using LEDs because they don't flicker like the fluorescents do. But I'm not sure why you would have like a. I mean, you can't be describing a photo. A photo wouldn't have a flickering stripe; it would just have a stripe. So. Chances are the light level isn't staying the same from picture to picture, so you might make sure that you're not using fluorescent at all, because fluorescent, you don't notice it like this, but in that moment you take the picture, the fluorescent might be a little bit dimmer for that picture, and then in the next picture it's a little less dim. And the way that some cameras scan the picture in, they don't take the picture all at once. They kind of like scan row by row, like really fast. But you can end up with a stripe as the light level of the fluorescent light changes. That's my best guess. I can't think of any other reason you'd have flicker. Why am I wearing gloves? I don't know. I'm just used to wearing gloves, and I find the gloved hand is less ugly than the gnarled human hand. I don't know. It bugs me. And some people like assume like, oh, you don't want to get fingerprints on your figures, but I don't really care about that. I just kind of like the gloves, and I'm used to wearing them when I shoot, so that I can. It's easier to get rid of a black hand because the black hasn't caused reflections on the figure that I can't edit out. So if you have like a pink hand and it's reflected onto the figure, now you've got like a pink image of your hand that you can't easily edit out of the figure itself. Maybe. You might seriously, KO. You might consider going to Eclipse Stop Motion Studio Pro. I forget the name of the website, but you can Google it. But Eclipse has a plan where you can just pay $18 for their software, and maybe it would handle your camera better for taking the individual shots. If you got $18, it might be worth a try. It worked really well for me for years, and like I said, it supposedly is like a complete package. Like you can produce the video. I remember it had like features for editing out rigs, like editing out your hands or whatever. So yeah. Well, KO points out his research suggests it's either an exposure issue or running the webcam at too high a resolution, or a power supply issue from USB ports. I mean, I just shoot for regular 1920 by 1080, like YouTube typical, not 4K resolution, and so I don't try to take pictures higher resolution than that. I used to for a while, but it's not worth the trouble trying to deal with files that large. Oh, you've been using the free old... Okay, well, Eclipse is decent. I just got irritated with them one time when the registration server wasn't working, so I couldn't operate the software, so I did a 180 and went and got Dragon Frame. Dragon Frame's a little better, in my opinion, but it's a little more expensive, too. So I would, if I were in your position, I would stick with Eclipse for a while and see how it does. I'll probably address a few more questions as they trickle in, but I just want to say that we are coming to the end of this live stream, and I've enjoyed chatting with you all about stuff. KO, if you have any questions about stuff, don't hesitate to chat with me on any of my videos about it, and I'll try to give you whatever information I can. I do have production notes sometimes that explain something I'm doing. So you might look at some of my older production notes about ideas that I had along the way. Um, that should be it. Just hanging out for another minute to make sure that those last comments don't get unanswered. But if you haven't already commented, I would not bother commenting because I got to shut this thing down soon enough. Yeah. Yeah, Nathan mentions is space an issue when collecting figures? Yes. I've got a lot of shelving downstairs, and I still don't have enough shelving to display everything I have because I've been a bit of a completist over the years for Hasbro figures. So I've got everything, just about. But I just bag them up and I put them in crates. I could probably find just about anything within half an hour if I needed to. But yeah, I mean, I set up these lights and it didn't work out, so my collection showcase would be not ideal. Um, but maybe I could just show you guys what I have, such as it is. I'll have to work out how to do like a live stream using my cell phone or something so that I can move around easier in my basement. But yeah, I might do a showcase one of these days. I mean, if you dig back far enough on my Instagram, you can see some pictures of my collection. I just got some detolfs recently. Those are nice. All right, folks. Everyone have a nice day, and I will more than likely be doing another live stream next Wednesday around the same time. So keep an eye out for that, and I will catch you guys later. Last question. Biggest figure I can stop motion. The biggest thing I ever tried to stop motion was the Shuriken combined mode, but that's a lot of editing out like everything else in the room because I have to pull the camera. I had to pull the camera like way across the room. I had to buy a longer USB cable so that I could pull the camera back far enough. That was probably the biggest thing I tried to get in the frame. This Megatron will be pretty big to deal with. I'll have to edit out a lot of stuff around him. All right. I think that's a good place to stop. You guys have a good evening. Farewell.